Morning. Welcome. So happy to have you all here. I know it feels like a very busy week headed into, in Holy Week and headed into Easter weekend. So very pleased to have you with us this morning. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce Dr. Michael Rosewall, Associate Professor of Music, who has graced our campus with his talent, his care, his leadership, and his teaching for over 20 years. Dr. Rosewall has been very engaged in the community off campus as well over the years, having served in the past as Director of Music at Union Congregational Church United Church of Christ. Now, since my own musical engagement and prowess could be summed up in the phrase, "I sure do like to listen to it," Michael and I have not hung out a lot professionally, but one story about him stands out in my mind. It was an alumni awards ceremony a number of years ago. I believe I was in attendance because I had served on a selection committee. And I find those ceremonies are always enriching and uplifting because we learn of the great work that our alums go on to do. But that night I was also privileged to learn of the good work and care of one of my colleagues. As two alums spoke with gratitude about having been selected for an award, they described at length the dedication and devotion Michael Rosewall had offered, not only while they were students, but as they continued on as alums. And so I'm grateful and pleased that this busy colleague, whose work is marked by dedication and devotion, agreed to share with us this morning his last lecture. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Michael Rosewall.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your kind introduction. I've been reminded a couple times this week, actually. I had several students ask me for some reason how long I'd been here, and I was saying, this is my 21st year, and they said, "Oh, you arrived when I was born." As if somehow that's a good thing. So when they asked me to do the last lecture, I thought, it's like a gold watch, right? But it's true. I am Mike Rosewall, and I am from the music department. And actually, during the past couple of weeks, as people were hearing about this, and I have to give a little dig to my department chair, because last month on the 27th, she turned to me and said, "Are you giving your lecture this morning?" And I panicked, and I said, "No, that's March. No. But as people have heard that I'm giving my last lecture, they're asking me, "Well, are you going to sing?" And I said, maybe, But perhaps you are interested in how I became a musician, or at least they told me you'd be interested, so you're going to hear it. It was kind of easy for me, actually. I come from a family of musicians. My mother's a singer. My both parents are a singer. They actually met in their voice teacher's voice studio. And my dad was my high school choir director, actually. So my siblings play the guitar and they sing, and my brother plays the bass. So we used to sing when we took trips in the car. And, we used to sing when we, before meals, we sang Grace. We were always putting on concerts or shows at school, at church, or the Y. So it was easy for me to think of myself as being a musician. And as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, I thought that all families got together and sang Christmas carols in 4 parts and playing instruments and things. I thought that's what you did. So when I went off to school, I was kind of surprised, I guess, that there are a lot of people out there, a lot of my friends, my roommates, who didn't have that kind of creative outlet in their lives. And how many families didn't sit around and sing with each other? And how many individuals didn't really feel like they had anything to sing about? Or that any ideas that they would express or dreams that they have would be interesting for anybody, somehow falling short, not good enough, not important enough for anyone else to hear. And I think that's why I became a teacher. At least that's what I've written here. and specifically a music teacher, because it has been the goal of my life, or at least my professional life, to let my students know that the thing that's inside them, whatever that is their unique voice, and they have a responsibility to share it with the world. Okay, I have kind of come to understand that if you do music, people want to hear about it. You know, can you sing for us? Will you sing at my wedding? And I'm used to getting those questions. You know, conversations, meeting new people, eventually turns to music somehow. You know, do you play instruments? Do you write your own music? You know, do you and Bieber hang out over the weekends? But I think the curiosity that people have about what being a musician or being creative in general is all about actually goes much, much deeper than just wondering what Rosewall does in his spare time. I think the idea of being creative is intriguing to people. And I go even further than that. I think that there's something fundamental about the human animal that drives us to be creative. And when I say fundamental, I mean it is built into our DNA. It's something we need to do. So today I want to press upon you that being creative isn't just doing something or having an artistic hobby or making something or wearing really funky hipster clothes, which some of you do very well. But to be human is to be creative. And let me say that again. To be human is to be creative. And I think this is an important message for all of us to hear. Even if we don't feel like we are creative, or even if we don't feel we have anything particularly unique to offer, even if we feel that there are others who have more important or more sophisticated ways of expressing themselves, more beautiful than we can muster. If you are human, I think the creative urge is there. And it's your responsibility to dig for it, to look inside yourself and find what is that unique voice inside you. It is your responsibility to pull it out and share it with the rest of this. I'm not exaggerating this. This is what I think. It is passionately and critically important for us as a species. So when I'm saying that being human is creative, I think it's probably logical to ask, so what is creativity? That is, what do you mean when you say, be creative? Think about that word, create. It's different than make or build. I made something. I built something. I created something. Somehow that word conjures up the idea that the act of creation is more than just utilitarian. Yeah, I built a box to store my stuff. I made a pizza. But how about I created this image in my head and I had to get it down on paper. I created this plot line and shared it with my kids at bedtime. Well, in trying to figure out what that means for you, it might be interesting to look at the question, what is creativity for the artist? Is it sitting in a practice room or in an art studio waiting for inspiration to come down from heaven and drop some Shakespeare into your lap? Could be. To make something that is beautiful. That's another interesting word, by the way, beautiful. That'll be my second to last lecture. Or to build something of significance, like a pyramid, that is going to endure beyond the end of one's life? Possibly. But I think if you talk to a creative person, and by that I mean a musician or a visual artist or an architect or a poet or a theoretical physicist, for that matter, the creative act is an act of exploration Making a painting is a way to know something about the world. Composing a symphony or a dubstep is a struggle to understand something about oneself. And successfully completing a creative act is not necessarily a product. That is, it's not the artwork itself, or the pyramid, or the tune, or the flower arrangement. Success in an artistic endeavor, I think, is finding that solution to the problem that is uniquely yours, that is your unique voice, that is a part of you that you bring into the world. Whoops, you give birth to into the world. Sorry. I talk like this. Now, I know this all kind of sounds flaky or new agey or humanities, you know. Certainly hard to measure in the library, in the library, but in the laboratory. But it's happening all the time, all around us, yes? Those creative people we hear about in the news or that we see on our computers. The scientist discovers something and postulates. The mathematician theorizes and proves assumptions. The musician composes. The chef whips up. The politician, I'm not even going to go there. I had something. But why is this important? Why am I telling you it's important? It may be because since I live in the Hall of Fine Arts, I see evidence every day that people on our campus and in our towns and in our societies are hungry for something that is personally expressive or that gives meaning to their lives, starved for collaboration with their family or with their friends, stifled by school systems that tell us to swallow whole what the teacher or the textbook says and then dump it onto the exam sheet at the end of the semester. Here's a great story. It's probably made up. A group of university researchers studying long-range effects of education in the United States are conducting interviews with students of various ages. So a group of researchers, they go and they talk to some kindergartners, and they say, how many of you know how to sing? Ooh, ooh, ah, ee, ah. Everybody. Yes? How many of you know how to paint? I made a picture of my mom. How many of you know how to dance? Then they went to a group of college seniors. How many of you know how to sing? Few. I'm a member of the chamber singers. How many of you know how to paint? How many of you know how to dance? It seems the older we get, the less we feel in contact with our own voice, with our own ability to creatively explore, with the freedom to create without being analytical or self-critical, or being analyzed, or being criticized. I'm not sure if this is worth sharing. Yes, I'm embarrassed to show this to my parents. They'll just think it's silly. Or we wait, say, well, once I get out of college, I can start my own life and actually find my own voice and engage and really do those kind of creative things that I've wanted to do. And then, well, wait till I get married, and then I can settle down and, wait till we have kids. And I'll share with them what it is to really do. And then, wait till the kids move out. Wait till I retire. Till I can actually speak with my own voice, live the life I want to live, spending our entire life waiting. In America, our culture is kind of split, I think, between idolizing creative people and kind of ridiculing them. Idolizing is right. You look at the show American Idol, yes, or Iron Chef, Master Thunderdome, or whatever it's called. Or Bill Gates, or Frank Lloyd Wright, or Thomas Edison, or Thomas Jefferson, or Mozart. We turn these folks into like caricatures, or superheroes, or marble statues on pedestals. Yet on the other hand, when the kid in the junior high says that he wants to sing in the choir or play the flute, he is teased for being unmanly. When a college student spends all of her time in her room coming up with elegant mechanical solutions to an engineering problem, she's labeled as a geek. Right? So why do we make fun of exploring creativity? And why, when we are made fun of, why does it hurt so much? Why does it get to our ego? It's important. It means something to us. The evidence is there. I see it in the faces of prospective music majors who come into the building, and they're trying to decide if a career in the arts is something that they can do, that can support them, or maybe a family into their old age. Is this thing that is so important to me going to be valued out there in the world? I see it in a teenager picking up a paintbrush or a camera or a guitar again and again and again, even though she only knows 1.5 songs. And I see it in the face of a 60-year-old man who comes to my office to ask about taking voice lessons from me, whose eyes fill with tears as he tells me about his junior high choir teacher who told him to just move his lips when everyone else was singing because he didn't really have a good voice. It's criminal. But of all the negative input that we get, the society and the schools that blast the message at us that being original or creative or counterculture is a bad thing, the creative urge is there, even if we think it's not. We often hear the expression that with music you can say things that are inexpressible with words. I think that's true, and I think it's actually more true than we think. But I'd say the same thing about dance and flower arranging and theatrical design. But it is true. Let's go back to the politicians I didn't want to talk about. Okay, how many of you remember where you were and what you were doing on 9/11? I have my own 9/11 stories, memories of what went on that terrible, terrible Tuesday morning, from the ungodly beautiful aria that I was playing in my music theory class, which just ended in crying and everyone leaving. The clutching of my chest when the towers fell. But one of the most indelible images for me is one I think that is not often remembered and not sought out endlessly on YouTube. And that was the television coverage of Congress on that morning. And I don't know if any of you remember this. I remember watching the screen, and all the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives poured out of the Capitol down and came down to the microphones down in front. And there was kind of some expressions of sympathy and angst, and a moment of silence, I think, was called for, and then people kind of awkwardly standing around, not knowing what's next. And then all of the members of Congress started singing spontaneously. They burst into "God Bless America." At that instant, reeking with pain and anger and concern and fear, no words available to them, Congress spontaneously bursts into song. Here's the most important thing. If you do go back and look at that, it is on YouTube. Kind of beyond the stunned amazement of like Tom Brokaw, the news anchor who's reporting on it like, they're singing. And you listen to the singing. The cool thing is, it's not that pretty. You know, Congress is singing. It's not Pandora worthy. But listen again. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's meaningful. It's mandatory. It's inevitable. If there is any message I can give you to the essence of my last lecture, it's this. Sing. Create your own song. Create your own art. Create your own version of the world. Sing. Paint. Dance. Cook. Arrange. Postulate. Opine. Do it. It's important. It's worth it. It's essential to us as humans. You know, when the Bible says that we are created in the image of God, for me, that doesn't mean that I am created in the image of God the Father, or God the Mother for that matter. No. But I am created in the image of God. The image of God the Creator. The thing inside of us, that spark that ties us with the rest of the universe. The part of us that I consider the divine within me. That is the quality that I share with God. An urge to create, a curiosity about, or an eager impatience with things as they are. The need to express myself and explore myself and exaggerate myself through assembling and whistling and imagining. This is as essential as air and sleep and food. Creating or making your own song heard not only gives something to the world, it makes a place for you in the world. There's a beautiful quote by Martha Graham that I'd like to share. Martha Graham is a famous choreographer. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, or how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You don't even have to believe in yourself or in your work. I love that. You have to keep yourself open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction, whatever, at any time. There is only a queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive. So listen to Martha. Don't wait until you've taken lessons or learned how, or until it's ready for people to see. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need to stay within the lines. Your expression is unique. It is a gift from God and the universe. It is already beautiful and worthy. And there are those of us around you who will always be an eager and enthusiastic audience for whatever song you choose to sing. Thank you.
hopeful. Maybe spring will come. I feel encouraged. Thank you. As those of you who come regularly know, we're not only nourished by the wonderful words of others on these Wednesdays, but the days of last lectures we have snacks. So if your schedule allows, you're very welcome to linger for hospitality or a moment to say hello to Michael. And would you join me one more time in thanking him for sharing his...